Hey, what's happening? What's popping, everybody? It's been a little while. I understand that this game and this team builder right now, this is just the team builder, and this is gonna come up a little bit late on the channel, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be worth it. I gotta make it up to you guys. And if you guys want to know why is this late and kind of what's going on with me, I do have another video. That came out right before this, and for this video I just want to keep this video solely for Pokemon building. And if you want to see the update, what's been going on with me, check out my other video that I just uploaded. I also want to give a shout out to Fallup, Paul, and Bird, who are the absolute gods, the analysts of the NPL. If you guys know, there is an NPL channel where we like to upload content, as you know, such as like podcasts. We do power rankings and things like that, and it's very fun. So for me, these two guys are very entertaining. They make very competitive content to show a little bit more insight that you might not otherwise see in the game here and there. And all around, they're very good people that did help me a lot over these past couple weeks. So let's dive into week one team builder. Now this is a very important game because every single game is going to be difficult. I have a lot of things uh, that I need to do in this season, and I fully expect myself to do great, as I have a great roster and I have a lot of motivation to try my best. But I realize that there's also a lot of really good battlers. So if I lose, one game, two games, three games, 5 games, I have to overcome those and keep going. So as far as the overall schedule, this is once again one of the more not important games, solely because it's not a conference game. There's two conferences, and though it is every single game is important, it's not as important because I always have time to bounce back in the season. And it's not a conference game, but it is versus a very good opponent, being Merck. And Merck is somebody who has recently won the GPC, and I had to make sure that I had to watch some of his GPC run and how he was able to win the championship. Another thing that I did was I noticed what he drafted. Now, as you can see here, right now, he drafted Drachi, Megaladios, Sylveon, Terrakion, Crocodile, Roserade, Mantine, Jolteon, Licky, Swallow, Mismagius, and Torkoal. A lot of these mons I have used in the past, and I understand how his structure of this team, the team what he drafted, I understand what it does. It's a wish passing team with offensive mons like Terrakion, Roserade, and Crocodile, and even Megaladios that can just kind of break things. So I gotta watch out for that. I also made a list of his mons on what logically they're going to do versus me. Now, there's always, lure sets, and he can run different sets, but these are kind of the sets that I'm going to focus on a little bit more. So Jirachi, it can do a lot of different things, but I can see something maybe like a Calm Mind, Wish, Scarf. I expect Wish because Jirachi with Wish can help switch into things like my Kieran Black, and it could just wish support the rest of the entire team. It could also potentially be things that it usually would not, which with the wish support. Next, I have or the Megaladios. It's Megaladios, not Latias, and the thing with Megaladios, I do fully expect it to run Dragon Dance because I do have a Gardevoir. So my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, I do have the Registeel and Gardevoir. Latios, its special coverage does not really deal with Gardevoir and Registeel. I mean, there is Shadow Ball, and so you definitely could run Calm Mind Shadow Ball. So if I do see something like Calm Mind, I'll probably expect that as the coverage, but more logically, I would see something like a Dragon Dancing Megaladios because Earthquake just obliterates Gardevoir. It doesn't matter if it's max HP, max defense. At +1, it's probably still going to be able to knock it out. And it can definitely hit Registeel for super effective damage alongside of boosting its attack and being able to do lots of damage to my Registeel. And it's going to be able to also outspeed my Scarfers if it does start setting up. Sylveon, the only set that I expect this to bring, I don't really expect him to bring Sylveon, but if he does bring it, it's going to be probably another Kieran Black check. I mean, as far as, maybe even Buzzwole if I don't carry Poison Jab, and even Thundurus, it can, obviously take hits from a lot of my mons in general. And just Heal Bell and Wish Up. So Tracheon, Dual Dance, I fully expect that. And I also expect this to be his Z-move Mon because in Gen 6, my Mew and my Kofag deal with the Tracheon all day, every day. But because of the introduction of Z-moves, if Tracheon sets up a Source Dance, I lose Mon right there and then to Z-move Rock thing. And I can't really do much about that, around that, other than sacking something else to then switch back into my Mew to not take the big rock type move. So I got to kind of work around with that. Crocodile needs coverage because I do have the Buzzwole, so it does need something like an Aerial Ace. It does not, Crocodile does not one-shot the Buzzwole, but it can 2-hit KO it with the Aerial Ace. And it can hit things like my Mew for super effective damage with knockoff, Kofag for super effective damage with knockoff. So things that Tracheon struggles with, Crocodile deals with great. And it could be, once again, a Scarf Moxie user and start sweeping my team, or it's going to be maybe something like a defensive set to deal with something like my Darmanitan next. Roserade, I expect to see this to maybe be like a defensive-ish mon to deal with things like my Greninja and my Mega Blastoise and just kind of set up hazards. Mantine, same thing. Once again, it would check my Mega Blastoise and my Greninja, but it would do the opposite of Roserade. It would get rid of hazards. Jolteon, I do have a Stun Fist, but Jolteon also does have access to Baton Pass, and it could just, momentum out of there. So it could technically, sub Baton Pass out of there. So that's a thing. Licky, that's just a really fat mon. It could do like its move pool is crazy. I have no idea what 4 moves he'll be able to run, but he's probably gonna have either something like a curse set is possible, and maybe curse, knockoff, return, rest, maybe something like that. But it also serves as a really fat wish support mon to once again support his mons. Swellow, the only set if he does bring Swellow is going to be Specs, because Registeel walls the majority of his team, and he needs the only coverage that Swellow has to hit the Registeel is going to be Heat Wave. And though a physical Swellow is really good, the introduction of Gen 7 and boosting its special attack, it just makes more sense that he were to bring special Swellow. Mismagius, definitely something that I do expect him to bring, because it does deal with something like a Buzzwole that Buzzwole was basically my 7th mon. Originally I did have it. I ended up seeing that I needed other things for my team, and unfortunately I could not fit Buzzwole on my team, but it's a really scary mon. But nothing on Buzzwole's move pool really hits the Mismagius, and Mismagius has access to things like Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, very scary things, and it could hit, once again, the things that Tracheon struggles with, being Mew and Kofag. Next, Torkoal. Torkoal kind of obliterates his team, and yeah, GG if I face Torkoal. So, the thing that I want to do with my team, I decided the team that I wanted to bring is I'm going to try to overwhelm him with my offense and with dual Scarfers. That's what I'm bringing this week. Now, if you notice, originally I did have something like a Life Orb Kieran Black, and it did do a huge, monstrous check to his team, and I was able to have something like Roost that it could also, 3-tax Roost, and I could always switch into something like the Jolteon, Mantine if it doesn't Skull Burn me, Even Roserade, I can take a hit from Crocodile if it's not Stone Edge, which it definitely could have Stone Edge for Thunderous. Things like that. But the thing with Kieran Black is he has a lot of things that also outspeed Kieran Black. He's got Jirachi. That Jirachi's going to make sure it's going to be able to outspeed my Kieran Black. So he's got Jirachi. He's got Mega Latios that hits it for a lot of damage. He's got Tracheon, a huge threat to me, outspeeds it, knocks it out. Swellow outspeeds it, and it can take a hit from Swellow, but not that well. Mismagius can set up, after a Nasty Plot, it might be able to take out my Kieran Black with maybe something like a Dazzling Gleam, because Dazzling Gleam hits my Dark type, and I decided last minute I do want to carry Dual Scarfs, because one, it's gonna help me check something like Calm Mind Latios. It doesn't check DD Latios, but it checks Calm Mind Latios. It does check a Tracheon if it didn't go for a Rock Polish. It helps me check a Crocodile if it's Adamant Scarf, and it checks setup variants of Mismagius, and I could also get the outspeed on the Jirachi. And the thing with Choice Scarfers is you're a little bit susceptible to maybe setup mons, so I just got to make sure his setup mons can't beat me. So I got to also make sure I do that. But once again, my Kieran Black, Dragon Claw, Shadow Claw, Iron Head, Outrage, it hits everything on his team for a lot of things for super effective damage. I was going to have to predict with Kieran Black regardless, because he's got so many mons that outspeed and force me out to begin with, and because I'm gonna, like, with Kieran Black, I'd always have to predict, do I go for Dragon Claw, do I go for Shadow Claw, predicting the Jirachi, this and that. So I decided throwing on Choice Scarf wasn't the end of the world. And then Darmanitan, I mean, for the most part, I'm clicking Flare Blitz 9 times out of 10. Depending. The only time that I don't necessarily want to go for Flare Blitz is because of like recoil, and if he gets up rocks, and I don't like Flare Blitz is fine for the most part, but like I don't want to get my Darmanitan worn down super fast. But this also can be a win con late game. But Flare Blitz, once again, recoil. Got to keep that in mind. So I have really fast mons, and these do very good against, if you were to bring like his offensive mons, Scarf Kyurem, Scarf Darmanitan deals with his offensive mons. So now it gets a little bit tricky. How do I deal with his Wish core without just getting outstalled and whittled down by, maybe like hazards, this and that? So I decided I'm going to bring 2 taunt mons. What this is going to do is a couple different things. It does, if he does bring the Mantine, I do have spikes, and spikes are really good versus this team because Jirachi's grounded, Sylveon's grounded, a lot of his team's grounded, and it could get whittled by spikes. And if I were to taunt the Mantine, the Sylveon, I mean anything's like this, it means that they can't recover, and Mantine can't get rid of my hazards, and it's gonna wear down his team. Same thing with Thunderous. Once again, Thunderous, no stab. The EVs on here is make sure I live a +1 Moxie knockoff after rocks from a Crocodile, and I have no stab because it's heat, I guess. Yeah. I decided this is going to be my Z-Move Mon because this is my best. Well, it's a pretty good check to Crocodile, and I probably will be able to snag a knockout with these Fightium Z Superpower on Crocodile, and that's also really fun. I can taunt things, knock off, and U-turn for momentum. I also have U-turn on Darmanitan, so I got a lot of hazards, taunt, momentum. Last mons on my team I do have are Mew and my Registeel, so this is going to be my defensive core. The Mew, Roost, Super Fang, Toxic Roar, definitely interesting set, really cool. But what Roost does, Roost is there for obviously recovery. The EVs on here is to make sure I can obviously take physical hits the best I can, because I'm gonna have to take physical hits from Tracheon, maybe Jirachi, DD Latios, potentially Swallow if it's physical. I don't expect to be physical, but pretty much those mons. His and maybe have to take a knockoff from Crocodile if I have to. Super Fang is free versus him, except for Miss Medius, which I might be able to Toxic on the switch in, but it's a free 50% on anything. And because I'm a bulky variant, I thought that Super Fang is just my best bet because I might not be able to otherwise really touch the Jirachi that well. Or I can't really hit his team that hard with any one coverage, so I decided Super Fang. It's a free 50% at minimum, and it can just really wear down his team. And then Toxic, Super Fang plus Toxic does pretty much just kill things. And then Roar is to make sure if he does have setup mons, I can just roar him out. So that's going to be Dual Dance Tracheon, DD Latios. If I can just roar him out, take a hit, roar him out, that means I don't get swept. And it also means if he has a wish up in the air, so something like Jirachi, right? If Jirachi gets whittled and it tries to wish up versus my Mew, I can roar it out to make sure that Jirachi does not receive the wish. Now, eventually something will receive that wish, but I might have hazards up, and that thing that tries to receive the wish might die to hazards, or it might be something that didn't take any damage at all. So I'm definitely willing to make that trade. Registeel, it's really bulky. The EVs on here is to make sure I live 2 choice specs, modest heat waves from the Swallow, and it's really bulky, and it can take hits from Sylveon, from Special Latios, anything from Jirachi, this and that. And this is like pretty much really good check to Jirachi, because unless Jirachi has Fire Punch and he burns Registeel, he can never kill my Registeel, because I have longevity with the lefties. And even if he wishes, wish protect, I'm chipping him with Earthquake, and I'm always getting recovery with my lefties. And 16 EVs make sure I break any variant of Jirachi with, most variants, pretty much I can break his subs with 16 EVs with Earthquake. If you were to try to sub Calm Mind, I can just break those EVs. Seismic Toss is once again free chip. I think 100 HP is gone. And then Thunder Wave, I decided to go Thunder Wave over something like a Toxic, because if I can get a Thunder Wave off on the Tracheon, that's gonna be I'm not really gonna be spamming status, but I prefer to have Thunder Wave on the Tracheon and also the Jirachi, because if I can get outspeeds on the Jirachi, if it's scarfed or anything like that, they'll be really good. So that's my team. The only things that can really scare me once again are variants of the Tracheon that can definitely be a very, very good win condition. So I have to play around the Tracheon perfectly. I gotta make sure that this is a faster game, because the longer the game is, my mons don't have the greatest of recovery. Only Mew has recovery, and hazards do wear down things like my Darm, my Thundurus, my Kieran Black. I don't have hazard removals, and rocks obviously hurt them. So yeah, so we're going to be showing my week 1 game here in a moment's time. I should be uploading that pretty soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the team builder and hype for the NPL seasons. Let's go. Stay tuned, and it's your boy Zazo coming in hot week 1. Let's get it.